that was a wild experience. And it really caught me off guard. So I told her, I said, you know what? As soon as we get home, I'm making this video. I'm gonna make this video. I'm gonna put together the bag. And the next time we go to the hospital, it might be your last. So the next time you go to the hospital, that might be the time you have to get admitted and stay for a long period of time. So. All right, so my wife wanted me to share with you guys what happened on our regular routine doctor's appointment. I think it was like the 30 week doctor's appointment, which consists of an ultrasound to make sure the babies are growing and they're on par with their percentages. And afterwards, we go talk to her doctor and kind of make sure everything was good to go. So went to the ultrasound, was successful. Everything was good to go with the babies. They were breathing, they were growing, everything was on par. And then we went to our actual appointment. Went to the appointment. Mind you, we, it's a regular checkup. So we dropped our other kids off at the grandparents. We're planning on being at the hospital, at the appointments for a few hours, come back, pick them up, head back home, and then kind of start our whole evening routine. So we get there, doctors is like, yo, you're having, way too many contractions, too close together, and they're pretty intense. So we want to go ahead and admit you, and so we can watch, monitor you, provide you with the stress tests and all these different things. And we're going to go ahead and admit you now. I parked my car, downstairs in the lot, real brief. So my car is just down there. They tell me, okay, well, you only can leave once. And there's only one visitor, which is you are the designated visitor. So I'm like, man, we ain't got no clothes, no toothbrush, no toothpaste, no bags, no nothing. Our kids ain't got no overnight bags, no nothing. There's no additional diapers. There are no toothbrushes, toothpastes, nothing. Just, all right, here's your appointment. Now you're staying overnight. Like, you're getting admitted. So we get checked into the hospital. They had the little dropout bed for me. And we just, chilling. Okay, we gonna go ahead and knock out these, these stress tests with the babies, be up out of the hospital tomorrow morning, no big deal. It's like, all right, I'll tough it out. So, bust out the bed. I'm laying there in my street clothes, went to bed, woke up the next morning like, okay. Doctor's like, nah, we're still a bit concerned about the babies. We're gonna have to continue on with these tests. Meanwhile, my wife's having way more contractions. We're like, man, she's going into labor. What's going on? Well, we need to really slow down these contractions because the babies are not, they're not as far enough in the pregnancy as we want them to be without them being in NICU if they were born right now. I think they were like 3 pounds and 3.5 pounds, for each baby. So we're like, no, we don't want to do that. We don't want to go into labor. We want to keep them in as long as possible. We want to just, if we got to stay here as long as we need to make sure the babies are okay, then we'll do that. One day turned into 2. 2 days turns into 3. Meanwhile, I'm like, everything we just talked about in terms of the bags, I had already purchased the stuff and was getting ready to assemble the bag when I got back from the appointment we had, so that the bag was packed. So all my materials was like here in the house. And I was like, man, I'm upset. Like, I got all the stuff, but it's at home. So what I did was I ended up, taking one of my, you only can leave one due to COVID. So I took one of my little time I was leave. I drove home, which is like 30 miles from the hospital. Drove home, gathered all the stuff that I possibly could. Mind you, when we had groceries delivered, all the stuff that belonged in the refrigerator was put in the refrigerator, but we had garbage we needed to take out that we were planning on coming back to the house and taking care of things, but we was away for a series of days. By the time I got back, I could smell the trash in our kitchen and the dishes that we left in the sink that needed to be washed. Like, it was just like a mess. So I ended up taking care of the kitchen, taking out the trash and making sure everything was neat and good to go. And then I headed back. Long story short, we ended up staying in the hospital for one whole week. Grubhub and hospital food, which is the reason why I was saying the Tums will be a really good factor in terms of that heartburn, because I had heartburn like nobody's business. So we spent a whole week in the hospital, not prepared to go to the hospital and stay overnight. I'm moving around my car trying to get it all situated. I think I ended up spending about $180 on parking in the Seattle area. It's just crazy. Wasn't even prepared for none of it. So that's why it's really important around that 30-week period time frame to build your bag, assemble your bag for not only yourself, because your wife or your partner may have a different bag, and then your kids need a bag, an overnight bag for wherever they going, if you have the luxury of having people watch your kids. So they need bags, and so all three of my kids need bags, and my wife needs a bag, I need a bag, and we need to make sure everything is coordinated. There's school that needs to happen. We doing remote school, so it's like a whole bunch of stuff that happened that kind of threw us in the loop as we trying to like work through that process. So my wife and I was like kind of going through this stress management thing and like trying to figure all of it out, and she needs to remain calm for the stress test, so the babies is calm and all that stuff. So so yeah, it was a really crazy experience. I was a bit upset because I had all the materials here, I just didn't have it with me. So word to the wise, or something to remember, is that pack that bag and have that bag with you everywhere you go, because you can be at the gym, you can be at work, you can be, you know, at the grocery store, wherever you're at, and get that call, and it's time to rock and roll. It's time to rock and roll, and it's like you don't want to be trying to come back home, trying to pack and trying to get everything. It's too stressful. It's way too stressful, and then you will forget stuff. So while you got the time now, it's really important that you put together all the things that you would need that you will feel to be comfortable. Like, you don't want to overpack and be coming down the hallway with a bunch of, you know, luggage, but you want to make sure you're at least comfortable, your wife is comfortable, and your experience can be as you know, as joyful as possible. One of the things I forgot to mention, I was talking to my wife, she's like, you should go back and share the story we just had, was the pillow. You can bring, I would suggest bringing your own like small inflatable kind of memory foam pillow. Now the pillows they have at the hospital was thin as cookies. They're like thin as like crackers. They're real thin, so you need like 9 pillows to make sure it's level. So you may want to bring your own pillow with you to the hospital. I think that's about everything. That was a wild experience, and it really caught me off guard. So I told her, I said, you know what, as soon as we get home, I'm making this video. I'm gonna make this video, I'm gonna put together the bag, and the next time we go to the hospital, it might be your last. So the next time you go to the hospital, that might be the time you have to get admitted and stay for a long period of time. So make sure you got the things you need. That 30-week period is I would say that kind of that sweet spot. For those that are having one baby, 40 weeks is usually that time frame. When you get to 40 weeks is when you have the baby, 39.5 weeks. But for twins, they said they don't let you go past 38 weeks, and the sweet spot is between 36 and 38 weeks. So you already, you know what I'm saying, missing a whole 4 to 2 weeks off of the actual 40-week process for one baby. So meaning that we were there for 30 weeks, we were like, man, we need to at least get to 34. You know what I'm saying? So it was crazy. We was kind of trying to figure out like, man, you know, are we going to go into labor and this, that, and the third? And if the baby is breached, you gonna have a vaginal, or you're gonna have a C-section? It's like, if the baby's coming this early, they gonna be in NICU for like 5 weeks at a minimum. It's like a lot to really process. So on top of not having no bag with you, they didn't even have no clothes to come home in. It was like, man, yeah, we was caught off guard. So thank God we was able to, you know, get everything under control. The nurses and doctors were awesome, and we had an opportunity to come back home and get things together. So so yeah, that's what it was. That was a bit of a kind of a sidebar. Forgot to mention that. I didn't want to make the video too long. So all right.